everybody. Welcome to the Krueg Show after Giants baseball. Man, Giants, you'd think against the Tigers, one of the worst teams in all of baseball, if the Giants would find a way to sweep that series. No. They're not sweeping anybody these days. And the White Sox are next. They'll get the off day tomorrow. Chi Sox and Tony La Russa roll in on Friday. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Giants, Chi Sox all weekend long at Oracle Park. Guys, I don't know what you can say in this one.
Sorry, there's a little bit of something in the background.
For me? On my side?
One of you guys.
I've got the fan going.
It's Krueg making a call.
Oh, that's
okay,
probably Danny.
Done. It's done. No. Okay, sweet. Sorry to interrupt.
Well, let me see here. Maybe I have that in. Maybe I have the.
I don't hear anything anymore.
Let's see. Put that down. Make sure we keep everything on the down low. Okay, there we go. Let me know if you hear anything again. But I got the ESPN box score up behind.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess, the Giants, they don't hit a lot. I mean, today they 3-2 was the final. They scored 2 runs at home. I mean, if you score 2 runs at home, you're not winning. You can't expect to win. It's as simple as that. And, the guys in the broadcast were celebrating the Tigers bullpen. Okay, that's fine. I mean, I got no problem doing that as well. But you're still celebrating a bullpen of a team that's 11-23 on the road. So it's not like they're world beaters away from Comerica, and you can't sweep this team. I mean, where's the momentum? They get a Longoria solo bomb in the first. By the way, another solo bomb. Sure. It goes 350 out to left, and they jump. They get an early lead, little energy in the ballpark, and that's it. Nothing. Goose eggs. Leave the bags loaded in the third. Don't score. Get the bags loaded with 1 out in the 7th. Only scored the 1 run. They're not coming through with that big hit, and they're just not talented enough or explosive enough as a team to compensate when they don't get the big hit. Their pitching's not good enough. Wood had a decent bounce back performance, 7 hits over 5 2/3, 3 earned runs. Didn't walk anybody, struck out 6, gave up the 1 home run. But the Giants got shutout relief from Rogers and Marte, but you score 2 runs at home, you're not going to win. I mean, it's as simple as that. And yeah, Soto looked good in the 9th, and Fulmer looked good, and Chafin's a pretty good reliever, no doubt. They're decent relievers, but to me, this isn't about that. To me, the one move I can't stand that Kapler just makes liberally is he yanks Jock Peterson.
Yep, exactly.
Like Jock Peterson is some interchangeable part. He's got 17 bombs, Gabe. 17 bombs, and you're yanking him for Slater? What did Slater do? Strike out a couple times?
And he came up in the key situation in the bottom of the 8th with bases loaded. That would have been Jock.
I mean, let's look at what you're doing here. I mean, let's look at what's happening here. I mean, Austin Slater, if I go to his baseball card right now, is hitting 241 with 5
listen to this.
5 home runs and 17 RBIs. 241.
Oh, that's not even telling the truth of it, Larry. Including today, he's now 1 for his last 14 with 7 strikeouts.
And you yanked a guy who's hitting 276 with 17 bombs. And we're not even at July 1st. Jock Peterson, I realize on other teams is more of a platoon guy, and you want to cover him up against certain lefties. I get all that. But on this team, let's acknowledge what he is. He's the bus driver. You hit him 4th for a reason, Gabe. Why are you yanking your cleanup hitter for Austin Slater? I mean, I thought I don't want to see Jock Peterson pulled out of the game in any kind of unless you're up 5, down 5, and you're thinking about the long term, taking the macro view in the season rest wise. You want to do that, pull him, but no winnable close game. Am I pulling Jock Peterson?
Yeah, it's getting tiring. It really is.
How many times we got to see that?
And also, let me make a little stat correction, just so you know. It's always fun to be nitpicky to make it look to drive your narrative, and my narrative is anti-Austin Slater.
He's their best hitter. How about this? Yeah. Just don't yank your best hitter in a close ball game.
I'm a
the,
Slater.
the other team in the other dugout's going, yes.
Thank freaking
Way to go,
God.
Cap. Way to go,
The one
Cap.
guy with the flair of the moment, like that he's shown this whole year. And so, yeah, Slater is actually, correction, we could say 1 for his last 14, but actually it's more correct to say 0 for his last 13. 1 walk, 7 strikeouts. I'm a Slater
playing
hater.
lefty-righty games forever. If you're just going to go to the left, if you're just going to go play lefty-righty games, what do we need you for? Why don't we just have somebody who's a whole lot cheaper and a whole lot easier if they're just going to play lefty-righty matchups? Where's the instinct? Where's the instinct that says, Slater's not going good. Peterson's going really good. I have a lineup that's not doing all that great. As Pete Zimmer says, Peterson is 7 for 22 past 7 games. Why are you pulling him? I mean, it's amazing. Big time Timmy Jim. Kapler's driving me nuts. Stop pulling Jock, who is our best hitter. I don't understand. I don't understand. And then Sexy Burrito. Why can't I sign up for Discord? These are all questions that need answers. I'm
a little bit ticked watching this. This team had bases loaded in the 3rd inning, did not score. Bases loaded in the 7th inning. Was it the 7th or 8th?
Both situations with only 1 out.
Yeah, and they got 1 run on the Yaz force play.
Fielder's choice.
Which, thank God. That was just another example of like, you know what? It's not too bad to have at least a little bit of freaking speed on this team, especially when we're hitting into all these goddamn double plays on these freaking bases loaded situations. At least he forced another out and he got him a run.
But yeah, I mean, it's absolutely pathetic you're going to want to sign Jock here for future years, and he's going to remember when it comes to signing time, all these getting yanked in close, tight games that, gee, I guess I'm not that valuable to you guys. You don't you obviously Kapler knows what he means to the team. He hits him 4th. He's your cleanup hitter. Adjust. Okay. Yeah. I mean, you're going to pull him against certain lefties sometimes. I get that. I think he gets that. Play some of the numbers at times, but it's almost July. Acknowledge what you're watching. You're pulling a guy who's hitting 30 points less with a fraction of as much power. For 13 with 7 Ks.
I mean, Kapler has said it before. Peterson rakes. Even when even staring at Peterson's splits, which are, not the best or not the most consistent, Kapler still, when he talks about Peterson rakes. Well, believe what you preach. If you really think the guy rakes, and on this team he sure as hell does, why are you yanking him for Austin Slater? And what did Slater do? Struck out two times weekly. I mean, if it didn't, these moves, if it didn't cost them a game, they lose a 1-run game, and you yanked the most dangerous hitter in your lineup halfway through the game. I mean, excuse me. Show me the analytics that says, you know what? In a low-scoring 1-run game, pull the one guy who can pop one out of the yard.
Here's another thing.
It's so unbelievably, is he thick? I mean, I don't know. Is he so thick that he doesn't understand what you're the guy who put out the lineup? You're the guy who decided to hit him 4th, and then you're going to pull him for Austin Slater to play lefty-righty games till we all die? I mean, it's unbelievable.
Here's another thing that irritates me, Larry, is Rodon's going great last night, right? So you ride your co-ace. He's through 6. He's sailing along, 86 pitches. So he goes out there in the 7th and throws 15 more and gets you through the 7th. No, he pulls them. And today he leaves Wood in the 6th, who's getting, you can see the balls are starting to get hit hard. And they're starting to zone in on him, and they're hitting the balls. Even the outs are hard. And then he gives up the 2-run homer when he he plays his matchup game. And why not bring in the right-hander then? I mean,
Kapler manages like it's little league, and the parents are all sitting right there. You know what I mean? Wait, we probably should get Peterson out and get Slater in. Yeah, we want to make sure. Let's get as many kids in as possible. That's awesome. That's awesome if you're managing Little League. In the major leagues, don't worry about Slater's feelings. You know what I mean? Yeah, if your only philosophy in the big leagues as a manager was, you know what? I play the hot hand. You'd be damn good at your job because that is the job. Play the hot hand. Peterson's the hot hand. Slater's not the hot hand. Peterson's the hot hand. I mean, it's just like, wow. You can't, and all these people saying, oh man, the Giants are going to rampage over these next 11 games. No, they're not. They're not rampaging anybody. They couldn't even sweep the Tigers. Tigers are putrid. The White Sox are coming in. What are the chances the Giants sweep the White Sox? I would say nil.
Well.
I would say White Sox take 2 out of 3. That'd be my guess.
If that happens, it's if they lose 2 or 3 to Chicago,
I bet the Giants lose 2 out of 3 here and win 2 out of 3 in Arizona.
If that happens, they seriously have to consider being a team that starts to look at selling, because this is ridiculous. I just did they played 41 games this year against teams under 500. Their record is 24-17, and there's 6 games currently over 500 for the season. So that means they have 1 game under 500 against teams with winning records. And this is where they are getting killed. They're 24-17. Imagine if they were
that's when you're supposed to fatten up, and that's not fattening up enough.
29-12. Take 5 of those games, 29-12. Now you're right in the thick of the race with the Dodgers and Padres. You're 1 back. But
they don't score enough runs to run anybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To consistently beat anybody. They don't have that kind of an offense. What do you think of this one? Romo 2001, our buddy Denny, it says, Kapler managing in Philly was closer to reality. He says last year was the fluke year. I don't know. I mean, I'm starting to wonder about that, actually. I'm starting to wonder about last year right now. I mean, what do you attribute last year to? Do we give Kapler too much credit for last year?
I mean, I remember you, Larry, saying, I think maybe it was when Ned was on, and honestly, I was still a little nervous, especially when Ned was on the cast, and I think somebody asked, what is it about Kapler that, you guys are really like about him? Like, would you see him improve this year in any qualities? And part of it was I was nervous, but part of it was like, I honestly don't even know what he does. I don't know. To me, it just seems like he's responsible for maybe the emotional EQ of the team, and then other than that, he's just a robot that commands get sent down through him, and then they come out of his mouth.
There's a lot of decisions.
So what are you saying, right? You're saying Farhan's running the show?
Yeah, so I don't really know if it's fair to give him any positive or negative, to be honest, because I don't know what he does.
The analytics buttons are being pushed, you're saying,
Yeah.
and then it's like, hey, Jock doesn't hit any of these next guys in the bullpen. Time to bring in Slater. And
I mean, he's not out there crunching the numbers. He's watching the game. Like, he's getting told. I mean, even when there's a replay review, he leans over to his assistant.
Well, you have to do that because they got a better view. He has no clue. But yeah, I think the managing by instinct and like Boch used to do, I personally think the game is.
Do you think Bruce Bochy would take Jock Peterson out of the game?
No.
No freaking.
First
way.
of all,
No,
any
no way.
move that you're making that's going to bring joy and excitement to the other dugout is a bad move. Right? All these guys, when Kevin Cash pulled Snell and he looked over the Dodger, dugout in the World Series, and they're all like, yeah, oh, hell yeah. Don't do it. Don't do anything that's going to give the opponent a reason to celebrate. Don't take out the pitcher that's dealing. Don't take out the hitter that's rolling. Play the hot hand. That's all seriously, just play the hot hand. Play the hot hand and if the numbers say otherwise, think about it. But play the hot hand. And I'd have to see almost overwhelming numbers that showed me that I shouldn't play the hot hand. If the only philosophy you had was I play the hot hand, I think you'd be damn good at your gig. I mean, just play the hot hand. Peterson's the hot hand. Don't overthink it.
You're so tight.
They do that when Gonzalez was not on the IL. He was in there practically every day. Lefty versus righty, key situations. They let him bat because they saw that he was hitting over 300 and he was hitting over 400 with runners in scoring position. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, Gonzalez has got to come back hopefully next week.
I'm done with even talking about, because you know what? The beginning of the season, we were saying, when they started to slide, we were saying, oh, well, Listella's going to come back, and then, we get Belt back, and then it's like, now it's like, oh, well, when we get Wade back, and then
awful since
it's just, and I will also say, Danny,
I mean, we're talking about Wade coming back today, like they were getting Rod Carew back. They were getting like some batting champion back. You're getting a platoon outfielder back, and you'd be like, "Whoa, here we go, baby." You're not getting Soto back. I mean, it's just bizarre. Wait.
I have to say, I just think it's hilarious. Since Danny went on his monster rant about Longoria, I timed it back to Thursday. These are his stats since then in 25 plate appearances.
I woke him up, is what you're saying.
25 plate appearances. He's hitting .474 with 3 home runs, 5 walks, a .560 OBP.
He's tired of getting Coccimilgio.
Yeah, give him.
Longo said, "Man, I can't hang with Coccimilgio. I know he's got cute dogs and all, and a lot of Giants gear, but I can't hang with this cat just tearing me a new one every day. I'm going to get it going because I'm tired of facing up Coccimilgio." I think that's what Longo probably said.
Yeah, and then Slater obviously couldn't handle the expectations of Danny pleading for him to be an everyday guy, because I think
Danny needs to get on more guys.
He's now 0 for 13 with 7 strikes.
Yeah, I know. I'm on a roll here, aren't I, with Longoria and Slater? Yeah, I even got a tweet from somebody, Outer Darkness. If you're out there watching, Outer Darkness
is tweeting you.
That's all of us.
You still want the DFA Longo?
Oh yeah, there's always the person out there who's just waiting to throw your comments in your face.
Yeah. And it was just perfect.
Welcome to Sports Talk. Welcome to Sports Talk, Danny. This is not securemoney.com. All right.
This game couldn't have ended in a more perfect way too. Like Longo gets down 0-2, and you're like, God damn it, Longo, you're gonna strike out, and then he just battles back an epic battle and just gets a walk. And then Slater just goes down without a
Mark Graves says, need to get Dan on everyone on the team. That's a good one. And then we've got this one. It wouldn't be a great post game show unless you had. Oh, that's not it. Unless you had my man Kevin here. So many people in the chat, I can't even get this thing. Where is it? Where's Kevin's comment?
Farhan is still a double agent for LA.
Yeah, where is that?
It's up.
Hey,
there it is. Yeah. Farhan. Yeah, Farhan's a double agent. Farhan is a double agent.
Yeah. Hey,
what do you guys think? Is there any potential that Farhan is a double agent? Let's address that on its merit. Yeah. That means he would be getting a lot of salary, right? Because then he gets all of his Giant salary and like a Dodger salary as well. I mean, what are the chances that Farhan could be a legitimate double agent? What kind of a controversy? You think that banging on trash cans was a controversy? Imagine the controversy if anybody had proof that Farhan was an actual double agent. I mean, that would be awesome. That would be incredible. I mean, that would be an epic story of your grandkids would be telling it to their grandkids. Can I tell you about the 2022 Giants and their double agent GM? Oh, I remember that. Yeah. Oh my God. It would be remembered for like hundreds of years.
Yeah. It would put the
Piersky's an informant.
It would put the White Sox scandal to shame.
Yeah, seriously. Be the biggest scandal in the history of modern sports.
Farhan, double agent.
Okay,
I'll take Papierski, and you guys, and I'll give up Dubon, get Papierski. I'll release Papierski, so you guys can, and I won't try and claim Clay's brother, so you guys can have him. And double agent.
Yeah, he threatened Posey's family if he didn't retire.
Yeah.
Big time Timmy Jim. 4th year for Farhan, and the team is old and slow and can't hit, pitch, or play defense. What are we doing? Wow.
Pitch
It
a
is
little.
slow.
They won 107 last year.
It is
107.
Slow. Yeah. Last year you had.
It's a good year. It's a good year.
I mean, you had a lot of timely hitting. You had a lot of big time home runs that over the franchise record, what they hit like 245 or something like that. All these home runs and, just great defense, good pitching, relief pitching was outstanding. It was just a tremendous season and they were being carried. They were in a race and they were being carried. It was Posey knew it was his.
Let me ask you guys this. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Danny. If you could add one thing, if you were Farhan, not double agent Farhan, that you're Farhan pulling for the orange and black. Val says, Larry, get Farhan on the phone. We could call him. I don't know if he would come on. Somebody said, don't worry, Willie Calhoun is almost ready. I'd like to see Willie Calhoun. Willie Calhoun could help. But if you were Farhan and you could make one addition to this roster to jumpstart this 2022 season, how do you see this team? Do you look at them and say, you know what, we got Rodon and Webb and the rest of those other 3 guys are question marks, and I want to go get a big-time starter, go give me a Frankie Montas, and let's make it happen? Or do you look at them and say, you know what, this team platoons every day, and they need somebody who can play every day and hit and go after a hitter?
Yeah,
what's the bigger need? What would jumpstart the Giants and get them going right now better? That one – impact starting pitcher or a really good bat? What do you think?
I'd trade Kyle Harrison to Cincinnati and get Papierski back because Papierski.
You're always trading Kyle Harrison, by the way.
Yeah, because Papierski's a switch hitter, and I think if we put him in the lineup every day, that'll be the key to the future success. No, seriously.
What would you do? Pete Zimmer says he'd bring up Jelly and move Sam Long. Not Sammy Long, Sam Long, Sac State's own, into the rotation.
I don't see that.
He's saying go with the youth in the rotation. That's his argument.
Sam Long, I don't see Jelly any better than Sam Long personally.
Big time Timmy Jim says need 2 hitters the most.
I would go after an everyday.
Mark Graves says Danny sounds like a double agent. Mark
I
Graves is getting ready to mute you.
I would go after you need 2 things, in my opinion. If you really want to make this club competitive, you need that quality third starter that is a proven guy, not a Jacob Junis, which is kind of maybe another fluke. We don't know yet. But get me a starting pitcher, whether it's Castillo or Frankie Montas, someone along that lines, and go get a everyday right-handed bat. I don't care if it's in the infield or the outfield, but somebody that can rake, hit 25 homers.
Somebody who can hit 1 through 5. You got a bunch of 6 and 7 hitters, as Matthew Mears says here. We need hitters. Like Larry said, we've got a bunch of 7 hitters. So they do. It's a bunch of 6 and 7 hitters.
Give me a right-handed hitter that can rake, that, like you said, be 1 through 5. A guy who's got power, 25 plus home run power, and a guy that can hit, 260 or better, and find that guy. They're out there. I mean, I just read today an article that Brandon Drury is only paying $900,000. He's a guy that's got over 15 homers.
Is he like your nephew?
No, I'm just saying he can be had.
We've had a lot of Brandon Drury's mentioned
He's a guy,
here.
though, that can be had for cheap. I don't know if it doesn't seem like they're going to go out and trade.
If I find out there's a Drury Coccimilgio connection at some point, you were stood up for him at his wedding, or
with Arizona,
his uncle invested in securemoney.com. If I find out there's a connection, there will be an independent investigation.
There will be mutings, and there'll be
mutings. There will be an independent counsel. We will dig deep to get to the bottom.
Yeah.
All right. You want me to throw out? If we're talking, we're realistically none of this crap.
GD5 agrees. He says, yeah, Brandon Drury's cheap and won't be a free agent until 2023. Look at GD5 and Danny with the Brandon Drury love. Go ahead, Ryan. I'm sorry.
Player. He's a really good player.
All right.
I mean, look, we're talking. I mean, basically what we're doing right here is we're doing fan fiction. We're writing a little fan fiction. So in my mind, I'm like, what could really jumpstart this team? I don't think bringing in another guy that hits 260 with, even if he hits 17 home runs, it's just not going to do that much, man. What we need is youth. We need excitement. We need something to take the city by storm.
Who are you thinking of?
I'm talking about a hero once fallen rises again. Joey Bart comes back to the bigs and starts mashing. Could you imagine? That could be.
That's the. You know what Billy Bean said to that? Hope is not a game plan.
He's had like 12 at bats down, 11 at bats. He's had 4 hits.
I know. I was just thinking, we used to blame everything on Joey Bart in all our post games, and the guy's been absent, and we've been worse.
Give him a chance to get 100 at bats and see where he's at, and if he's hot, maybe you do that. But for now,
okay. Here's one thought that also frustrates me. This is another one. Okay, let's paint this picture. Anonymous. What is the point of dumpster diving if you don't let the players play? Yermín Mercedes gets pulled in the 5th yesterday with a 4-run lead for Lostella, who Ks, then gets sent down today. Why was he even up then? There's a chaotic feel to the back end of the Giants roster that it's I don't know. It just doesn't. It's not. Guys are going up and going down based on obviously options and this and that, and they're trying to cover the whole roster, but it just doesn't feel like there's a whole lot of conviction, let's just say, in any of these moves. Right? You call up a Mercedes. Do you believe in him? Yeah, I believe in him. Well, wait a second. Then the manager yanks him in the 5th for Lostella, and then he gets sent down the next day. And same with Elliot Ramos earlier this year. He comes up. He hits 2 balls 110 miles an hour. They sit him for 2 or 3 more days, and they send him down.
But Larry, But Larry, once Ramos is up here, he's up for good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that was at least that was the thought. We'll see about that.
Maybe Farhan is a double agent. Listen to this text I got from my Dodger buddy this morning, because this is how the Dodgers are managed too. He says Dodgers 4, 5, 6 hitters. Dodgers 4, 5, 6 hitters aren't producing and seldom use Zach McKinstry, who might help with the bat, went on IL today with stick neck. Probably fell asleep in dugout during last 2 weeks when never played. So LA Dodgers calls up outfielder Jake Lamb so he can take McKinstry's place, not playing instead of sitting on the bench. If Roberts doesn't start Lamb tonight at left field against the Rockies righty Marquez, they leave him in the lineup for 4 or 5 games, then he may be the worst Dodger manager ever. So this is what's going on, the way they do all this analytics, and they play guys based on all this. And this is what Anonymous is basically saying. They have done this over and over again. They bring up a guy for 1 game, as in Ramos, send him down, and he doesn't even play a full game. He gets 2 at-bats against the lefty. Righty comes in, out goes Ramos of the game, and back to Sacramento.
I mean, it's a chaotic feel. It creates a chaotic feel. Zendeyev says this is a great point. It's almost like management is just trying things out, not out of knowledge, but out of lack of knowledge. I wouldn't say it's lack of knowledge, but it does just kind of feel like, why not? We'll give it a go today. We'll move these guys around, and this guy's up, that guy's down. There's no conviction. There's no plan. It's just kind of like, and then people are supposed to buy tickets to this kind of nameless, faceless outfit that, Jock Peterson's the star. Well, yeah, he's playing like a star, but he's getting yanked in the 5th for Austin Slater. I don't get
that is.
I think it's Kapler playing his lefty righty games, and having too much of a micro. When you study the micro so much, you lose the macro, and the macro is what you really need more than anything. I think, the micro is important, and how each guy's doing in each at bat, and trying to wind up with as many advantages in your column at the end of the 27 outs. You want as many of those head-to-head matchups to be in your favor. I get the playing the macro game or the micro game, but it's a long freaking season. If you just played the hot hand over all this micromanaging, I think you'd find that you got equal or better results and a whole lot more consistency out of your ball player. I get it. Jock Peterson in his career is kind of a platoon bat. I get it. But let's make the adjustment, fellas. It's almost July. This guy's got 17 bombs. On your team, he's a freaking star. He's better than your alternative. And he's part of the attraction of Giants baseball right now. He's one of the only attractions in your lineup. And you're going to sit there and yank him for a couple key at-bats, day game after a night game, playing lefty-righty games till the cows come home. I mean, once again, if all you're going to do is play lefty-righty games, what do we need you for? I need somebody who's better than lefty-righty games, who knows the lefty-righty matchups, but understands the bigger picture. And I just kind of feel like, to a guy like Boch, the macro view ruled the day. To a guy like Cap and the analytic crowd who just lives and dies by it, they just feel like I'll micro everything. And if I make enough positive micro decisions, that will be, good for my team overall. And I would push back on that and say, no, it's not good for your team overall. It creates a chaotic feel. It makes the players feel like almost like you have them pigeonholed and there's nothing that they can do to get out of the role that you have them in there penciled in.
They're
so
in platoon purgatory.
How about react to the fact that a guy like Peterson is somewhat of a hot and cold guy, and he's hot right now. You know what I mean? Stay with the hot hand. Play the hot hand. I mean, I don't know how many times I can say that. But what's that?
Look at the stats. Only 27 at bats, but I mean, he's hitting 260 versus lefties. I mean, is that really that bad? Yeah, this is Jock.
Yeah, I mean, those stats tell you he's basically, I mean, we'll give you identical. Those are almost near identical home runs. Now, the home runs are 15-2, 15 off righties, 2 against lefties.
Like plate appearances. And you know what else that I just hate about
He's got 27 at-bats all year against a lefty, and he's probably the best hitter on the entire team.
And what I hate about the analytics stuff is like, okay, I get that maybe Jock isn't as great against lefties, but you know what else? We've seen it this year. We've seen it in the playoffs. Jocktober. The guy is kind of built for the moment. So I'd rather him go up there hitting lefty. In this game, he would have been up there. He would have been the last out. I would rather him go up there hitting lefty in a high leverage situation than Austin Slater. I believe in him to come through, and it's like the Steve Kerr style of playing all the bench guys during the year so that he knows he can trust them in the playoffs. Why not let him hit against lefties in some high leverage situations? And you know what? Maybe that'll show you something come playoff, come September, come August when we really need him.
It's about if you're going to play the analytic game, then play the analytic game. I mean, I'm looking at the numbers right here. You're showing them to me. I was unaware of them. At home against lefties, he's hitting 333 and 18 at bats. Yeah, so he's 6 for 18. He's hitting 333 and 18 at bats at home as a left-handed hitter. You just pulled a 330 hitter for Austin Slater. A 330 hitter with a lot more power. So I don't know. In a one-run, in a tight game at home, when you're trying to sweep a team that you're looking to pop one out of the yard, and a bloop and a blast, and you win today. I mean, I just don't get it.
Look at last year. He hit 265 last year. He had a better batting average versus lefties than he did righties in 98 plate appearances. Yeah, only 2 home runs, but who cares? This was last year.
Last year he hit. He's already got 2 home runs this year and 27
again at home versus lefties. Again, 302. All right.
I mean, I do get the, hey, Peterson's kind of a, if you ask me in the offseason, what do you think of Peterson? I'd say I love him. But you know what? He's he's got some platoon, some splits. You're going to want to sit him against certain lefties. But that's sit him against certain lefties, not just sit him against every lefty. What
the actual hell? Because now we're in 2020 where obviously the games were shortened, but he only had 9 at bats, but 333 versus lefties. Home versus lefties, 375. All right, let's go to 2019 better be freaking horrible. That's all I got to say. Versus lefties, 224.
Clarence Beeks. It's all about VORP, you boomers. Pectoda. That's awesome.
Hey, you look at the last two series.
I wish I could save that.
What are the last two series? They played Atlanta. What did we see? We saw the young kid in center field. What was that kid's last name? The 21-year-old? Harris. Guy could fly, cover ground, hit. Now the Tigers bring in a young center fielder, Green. What's his first name? Riley Green, I think it is.
Riley Green.
I mean, he's hitting 286. We're seeing these guys. The Tigers are playing Spencer Torkelson from Petaluma, a young kid who went down.
He's hitting Arizona under 200.
State. Yes, but they're playing him. They're not going anywhere, so they're playing him. Where are the Tigers going to be in a couple years? I think they're going to be competing because the Giants have to decide where they're at. It's almost like the Giants are like, well, we're trying to do both. We're trying to win and we're trying to rebuild. And so we're doing this mix.
You mean it's like what the Warriors did, except for they don't have
any stars, though. The Giants don't have any stars. That's the difference. Yeah. The Warriors had Curry, Thompson, Green, 3 Hall of Famers.
I mean, here's the bottom line. The Giants are rich. They own their own ballpark. They own that Mission Rock stuff. They should have spent more money. That's not always the story, but that's the story this year. Should they abandon the rebuild? No. But they should have looked realistically at their farm system, saw what they had at the major league level, and invested more dollars in the major league 25-man roster. And they didn't. And so they're like, they're coasting on the 107. And guess what? People aren't buying tickets off the 107. They're buying tickets off of what's going to, I only have so much. I mean, the attendance is down. Why is the attendance down? Baggerly wrote a great piece on this this week. And it's partially because there's really 2 reasons that people go to a game. They go because you're good, and they go because there's an attraction they want to see. It's all about them. It's not about you. It's about them. The fans buy tickets for themselves, and they buy tickets when you have a really good team or when you have a really great gate attraction. This team had a great year last year, but they lost Buster Posey, lost Chris Bryant, did not replace those guys, did not spend the money to reinvest in the product. And the fans are looking at the outfit right now and they're saying, well, I don't have as much money as I used to have, and the gas is expensive, and the toll, and the city of San Francisco is a dirty, sloppy, drug-infested dump. And they're like, you know what? I don't want to drive to that dirty, infested, drug-infested, needles everywhere and human feces on the sidewalk. I don't want to drive into that. I don't want to deal with that. And then, it's cost a mint to go to the games. You're not going to go to the game for under like $250. And guess what? Buster's gone, and they didn't replace him. And the team looks like more closer to a 500 team than a championship contender. And it's on TV, and you know what I mean? So it's like and there's no gate attraction. There's nobody that you're like, heck, you would say, if you said to me right now, if you said to any of us, you put us all in a room where we could not hear anybody else's answer. You say, give me the one guy for the Giants, one guy that if he's coming up next inning, you'd prefer not to, go get a hot dog. you'd probably say Jock Peterson, and the manager just willingly pulled him today in the fifth or sixth inning playing lefty righty games. So, I mean, that's the problem in a nutshell. They've leaned back on their season last year, and in a normal situation, maybe the 107 wins last year, people would just buy tickets this year based on that. But you got to keep competing, and either your farm system had to produce, or you got to keep spending. And if you wind up getting 0 for 2, guess what? There's going to be a huge decline in enthusiasm and momentum from your fan base, and that's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, imagine if the Giants back in the day in the 60s when they had McCovey and Cepeda, who both played first base, but because Cepeda was only a first baseman, they had to put Willie out in left field. Now, Willie did okay out there, and the Giants were incredible. In 62, they were one hit away from winning the World Series. But imagine that lineup today. They would platoon those two. The Giants played McCovey and left.
How about the other guy they had? They had big Bill White. The Giants produced Bill White and traded him to the Cardinals. Yeah. He's another stud first baseman with power and defense. I mean, the Giants system produced all kinds of guys back then.
What the Giants did back then is they finally came to the point where McCovey couldn't play left field anymore because he had bad knees. And so they traded Cepeda. It was not a great trade, obviously. They got
terrible trade and goes on and wins the World Series, right?
Yeah. But the point
wins the MVP.
The point is they did something to try to do, they played them both. But here's the craziest thing is what they're doing right now with pulling Jock and then leaving Wood in. I harp on this because of what you did the night before. Rodon, unless something comes back and I hear a report that Rodon said he was gassed and that he was done for the night, makes no sense to pull him and leave Wood in the sixth inning today when he was getting hit hard. You play matchups sometime, and then other times you go on a hunch. I mean, cost him the game today. 2-run homer to a right-handed. They had guys. They had right-handed relievers in the pen. They had Rogers. They had Leone. They had we saw Marte come in today and, lights out pretty much. So I don't get the moves, the inconsistency. It just doesn't make sense to me. It wasn't like Wood. It was the third inning. He was in the sixth, and you've seen Alex Wood long enough to know that when he loses it and starts getting hit, there's no return. He doesn't usually come back.
Tony D says Rodon had a split fingernail.
Is that why they took him out?
It makes me feel better. He only had 86 pitches. I mean, the guy was in a cruise. Now, granted, you had a 4-0 lead, but you also had 9 outs to go, and your pen's been worked heavy. But so that explains it. The split fingernail, Danny. Split fingernail.
I just,
fingernail fastball. They used to call it.
Yeah, exactly. It's from the splitter.
The Giants feel like it's like, again, back to the fantasy football analogy. It's like, it seems like if Farhan was playing fantasy football, it's like
he does.
It's like okay, I've got Derrick Henry, but you know what? He's going up against the Tampa Bay defense, and you know what? Chuba Hubbard is on my bench, but Chuba Hubbard is going against the Chiefs run defense.
Right, classic fantasy football overthink.
I'm gonna play Hubbard this week. It's like no. Play your studs.
But they don't have studs, and so they're in this juggle mode. But now they get somebody who starts to play like a stud, and they don't even recognize it. They're like, no, we're still playing lefty-righty games.
And what's the best way to cool off a guy who's playing like a stud is you freaking ice him.
Yeah. Did you guys see, by the way, last night, Mike Trout out in center field kind of mocking the pitcher, his own pitcher?
No, I didn't know.
No, for doing what?
He was tipping pitches, and so Mike Trout's going like this. He goes in, and he pulls it in, and then he's like shaking his head, like he knew what pitch was coming because he was showing like, dang, and he's like, dang it. I'm thinking Mike Trout's got to be one of the most frustrated players because
they're not trading Trout, Danny. We always get back to trading Trout and Soto.
You talk about a move. I'm serious.
They're not trading for Trout.
They're probably not going to, but I tell you, I think somebody's going to get Mike Trout in the next year or two. Yeah,
You think
I believe so.
they're Angels are gonna trade Trout?
Within the next year or two, if they don't make the playoffs this year, which it looks like they're not, and if they don't make it next year, he's going to be 30.
Mark
Graves.
See, the problem is they're about to lose Ohtani too. They're not going to re-sign Ohtani.
Dan shaking his head. Dan's like,
do you think they would allow Ohtani to slip away and then also trade away Trout? I mean, that is the combustible option.
Mark Graves. Danny's going to keep talking. Mark Graves said no more, and Mark has that control now. Okay, all right, unmute him. All right, Mark Graves says unmute, and Danny's back.
They're going to get him or trade him, but I think Mike Trout in the next year or two is going to get to the point where he says either get me starting pitching or get me the hell out of here, because
give me liberty or give me death.
I mean, he's 30 now, I believe, and he's
okay. Let's play this game. We'll go down this road. I'm the Angels, or you're the Angels. You're the Giants, and you call about Trout, and we'll take it from there. I'll be the Angels GM. Go ahead.
All right, you can have anybody but Kyle Harrison. Nah.
So Danny, what do you want? What can I do for you, Mr. Orange and Black? I see you're wearing your Giants colors today. What can I do for you? What do you need?
Just calling to see, just inquiring. Are you guys considering trading Mike Trout, and what would you want?
That was a good one, Farhan. That was a good one.
Hey, the last laughs on you. You guys suck.
All right.
When's the last time you ever won a World Series?
All right, Farhan.
All right, Farhan. Oh, look. I know you're Mr. Fantasy Wizard and everything, but what are you offering? I'll listen. You got 2 minutes. Go. Make me an offer.
Well, I got rid of Papirski, so I can't go there.
Well, that was the key guy for me, so I can't do the deal without Papirski.
Hey, you know what I think it would take? I think it would take, seriously,
Mission Rock project.
Yeah,
the revenue from the Mission Rock.
It would take Luciano, Harrison,
McCovey Cove,
like Hunter Bishop, and
they need pitching. The only thing they would care about is pitching. They have hitting.
Well, yeah.
They would want Harrison.
Bednar.
They want that Swiney kid, the lefty Swiney, the left-handed pitcher from NC State. They want Santos. They want Kervin Castro. They want Doval.
Yeah, they probably would. Yeah,
and maybe a replacement, maybe a center fielder, Wade or Yaz.
For Christ's sake,
they'd want like 5 or 6 pitchers probably.
Can we just like do a deep dive real quick? Let's check out the freaking Angels. Okay, let's look at the Angels roster and explain to me how they're losing all these games.
No pitching.
Zero
pitching.
Ohtani has a 2.9 ERA. Syndergaard 3.86. That's not bad. That's basically Webb this year. Sandoval's got a 2.63. Lorenzen 4.24. I mean, they're basically is the same pitching staff as us, right?
Look at those home runs, though. They've given up a lot of bombs.
They've given up a lot of bombs, but not runs. I mean,
yeah, but when you're giving up that many home runs, it's hard to play defense against the ball over the fence.
Yeah, Detmer's got sent back down.
Look at the home runs allowed by their pen. Iglesias 5.
But their ERA is still pretty low. I mean,
yeah.
As long as
Ortega 5. I mean, they've given up a lot of home runs.
I just think they're just such a mess. I mean,
but how? Like, explain to me how they're losing.
They're getting out hit. They're just still getting out.
They are not getting.
They must have a poor defense if their earned run averages are. I don't know.
It wasn't my turn to watch them, so I haven't watched them that much this year, to be honest.
I know that they're like 5 or 6 off the wild card pace, and they're not. They
lost a zillion in a row.
They're not going to get past Boston or Toronto.
And then look at their hitting.
Tampa
I mean, okay, we have no one like Ohtani, 270, 17. Actually, that's like Jock, 270, 17 home runs. Taylor Ward's still hitting .313 with 11 home runs. Trout's doing Trout stuff, 285, 23 home runs. I mean, Jared Walsh, I'd freaking kill for 260 and 13 home runs. Oops.
They have a good lineup.
They have a good lineup and pretty good production overall compared to us. And they are losing a lot.
Here's your Trout offer. GD5, Luciano, Matos, Harrison, Bishop, Swiney, Doval, and Villar. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 for 1. You make that trade, Danny?
Let's see, Luciano, Matos.
All that right there. Luciano, Matos, Kyle Harrison, Hunter Bishop, Nick Swiney, the lefty from NC State, Camilo Doval. We'll throw in David Villar. 7 guys to the Angels for Trout. You making that trade? I'll say this: your ratings go way up. They're way more interesting to watch tomorrow if they make that trade.
I think it goes back to this.
I don't think I would make that trade, to be honest.
Here's what it goes back to. Rye said it earlier in the year. I'd love, or maybe a couple of weeks ago, I want to get a mission statement from the Giants. What is the plan? Is the plan to go and try and win the World Series this year? Because if it's not, if they don't think they have a realistic shot and they're going to do everything they can to win the World Series, then I say sell.
Danny, the plan is clear. The plan is bottom surf. Make
for how long? Because the prospects aren't coming up for another
forever. Bottom surf till the death.
But I'm not renewing my tickets.
Okay, wait. Bottom surf to the bitter end, and then try to make some deal that you think is a positive deal in July, and then try to get in as a wild card. And then they obviously subscribe to the theory that, hey, get in as a wild card, anything can happen. So that's the game plan. The game plan is, and I think that's a weird game plan, to be honest. When you're coming off 107 wins and you have this kind of an audience, the Giants can draw 3 million fans. They're one of the iconic teams.
Wait, let me throw out a hypothetical Trout trade since we're talking Trout. Okay, would you do this? Would you do this if you're the Angels? Would you do Doval, Yaz, Ramos, and Carlos Rodon for Trout? If you're
the Angels, Rodon, who was again?
Rodon, Doval, Yaz, and Ramos.
No, I wouldn't do that. The Angels, because Rodon.
No way.
Okay.
Rodon's can walk at the end of this year, or he can opt out.
Okay.
Yeah. No. If
Logan Webb?
Maybe Logan Webb.
You
might consider.
Have to do. I think
that's your ace and your closer.
Yeah, you'd have to do that if they were that.
But they probably would want more than that.
That'd be no.
They probably would want Matos or Luciano.
See, I don't have a problem trading prospects for a proven superstar, the top player in the game.
You just can't trade 7 of them.
Well, look, 2 of them are the only. There's only 2 of real value there, and that was Harrison and Luciano. If you look at the others,
Matos is one of your highest rated guys. I think he's a terrific prospect.
He's unproven. He's not hitting well right now. He's hitting,
okay.
And Bishop has got a lot of potential. I just read about Bishop today.
Yeah, the Giants actually put out Marie Gardado put out a story today on the Giants website about their 5 hot prospects. Did you see that story?
I'm not sure if that's the one I read or I was reading.
5 Giants prospects on the rise. Maria Gardado, Kyle Harrison. They've got Kyle Harrison, right. Hunter Bishop, Ryan Murphy, the right-handed pitcher, R.J. Dabovich, right-handed pitcher, and then Vaughn Brown.
Right. Yeah, and Dabovich just got called up to AAA. And I saw him in the Arizona Fall League this year.
He played with Bishop at ASU.
Yeah.
Giants took him in the 4th round in 2020. He's got a 2.70 ERA, 38 Ks, and 26 2/3 at AA this year. He's 23-year-old righty.
They say once he gets his command down and gets total control of where he wants to put the ball, he'll be in the majors.
Electric
stuff,
fastball. They're saying high 90s.
his
RJ
stuff is very
Dabovich.
nasty. When I saw him in the Arizona Fall League, he got yanked. He walked like 3 or 4 guys, and they pulled him. So that's his problem, is control. Once he gets that down, the article I read on him today said he'll be in the majors. So they've already they must be, they moved him to AAA. So he's one step away. So I think some changes are coming because they're moving guys that are not on the 40, right? We're seeing we've heard Villar. They like him. They're high on him. They've moved Dabovich. They've moved Harrison up to the AA. Next step is Sacramento. But these guys, none of these guys are on the roster, right? So what is Farhan? What did he do in 2019? Remember the Giants were like going to be for sure sellers, and then they went on like a 10, 12 game, 12 out of 13 run right before the All-Star break. And they were like, oh, we owe it to the fans to, to go for it, to try and make the playoffs. And that was the year they traded a couple of their relievers to, I think that was the year they got Dubon. They made a trade to, who's the guy that loved the cats or something? He was a reliever, redheaded guy, beard. Sam, what was that guy's name?
I am.
Sam something. Anyway, he was a good reliever, but then he went to Minnesota and he flaked out, and he's out of baseball, I think, right now. He was with the Texas Rangers. They got him. He was their closer, and then he had a horrible year closing. And then I can't think of his last name. Sam something. Anyway, I picture him, but he was a good pitcher for the Giants.
Was it Sam Conrad?
No, Coonrad. No, it was. I think it was. I can't remember. I'm just drawing a blank. But anyway, the point is, the Giants made a bunch of deals, Farhan, and he created like 3 or 4.
Sam Dyson. Sam Dyson.
Sam Dyson. Yeah.
Who had real problems, by the way. Real problems.
Yeah, he's got a lot of problems now. Yeah. So he's. I don't even think he's in baseball. But anyway, point is, the Giants made a bunch of trades that year, and they opened up roster spots. So there could be some movement where guys get traded off this 26-man roster, and they bring up some of these guys that they're moving into place. So I just don't know what the plan is. If you think, Larry, that the plan is to bottom surf the whole time,
well, there's just no doubt. There's no doubt about that.
I think that's going to. I think they're going to find that at the season ticket office, at the gate, I think they're going to see a revolt in the next year or two. I really do. Unless they start saying, they got to speak to the fans and say, our plan is we've got these guys coming up, and they're a year away, they're 2 years away, and we're going to be competitive. But they're not going out and signing guys to 5-year contracts like a Nick Castellanos, because they don't want to block the Bishops, the Ramoses, the Matoses. They don't want to block their path.
I think that's so crazy, though. You have not been able to draft, develop, and promote position players with any consistency for decades. And now your primary concern is signing too many good free agents that might block the path of prospects. I mean, that's arrogance. That is arrogance. That's somebody who's like, I don't want to get in front of my, it doesn't make any sense. You're not producing these players, and now what, the next crop of players are all going to produce, and that you don't want to sign Nick Castellanos, who's a proven guy, because you've got Elliot Ramos on the verge.
No, I will not go out with you because I have seven chicks on Tinder who I'm thinking are pretty good.
Here's the problem with that.
It so presumes that these guys are going to be good, and there's no reason to presume that.
Exactly. And here's the thing. What did Castellanos sign for, Rye? You could look that up.
100 million.
Like 4 or 5. I think he did 5 years, right?
Yeah.
5 years, 110.
Like 112 or something.
So he got like 22 million a year. You know how you solve that problem? You go out and say, okay, we're not going to sign you for 5 years and 110.
Yeah, five for a hundy.
5 for 120 million a year. But we're going to give you 2 years at 28 million. So why don't you come for 2 years and then you're free to go again? You make, then you're not clogging up your system, but you're getting guys who are ready or proven who can win now. I don't care if it takes $30 million a year to overpay those for those 2 years because you got so much money. Right now they're at $150 million a year. They can easily be a $2 to $250 a year payroll easily. Am I wrong, Larry?
As far as what they can afford, I mean,
Right
they
now,
own their own ballpark. The franchise is worth exponentially more than what they bought it for. I mean, they're already they're sitting on. Let's state this accurately. What they're sitting on is the largest real estate development deal in the history of the city of San Francisco. That's the facts. They built that thing. They took the risk. The ballpark has paid off years ahead of schedule. Now they're developing the eastern waterfront south of the ballpark. That's going to continue for the next 3-4 decades, and they're going to mint money. And the descendants of anybody who's part of the ownership group are going. They're going to have generational wealth for several generations on this one financial deal. So they're doing incredibly well. This whole idea to kind of roll back the spending, it sounds like a smart move, but once you lose momentum, see, that's what Baggerly wrote about this week. It's the Giants have 3 titles. They're coming off 107 wins. They're financially as well positioned as almost any team within the entire sport. And yet it doesn't feel, when you look at the crowds and when you hear the buzz on the street, like they have the momentum that they should have. And it's because they don't have it. It's because their audience has moved away and they're no longer speaking directly to their audience, and their audience is engaged in other things. And baseball's under attack. Baseball season used to start in April and go to October. Now, April is the NFL draft. May is the NBA playoffs. June is the NBA playoffs. July is, guess what? Training camp.
NBA
August
trade deadline.
is the NFL preseason.
Yep.
September, baseball gets a little bit of that attention back, but they're still splitting it with football, and football is clearly king. The baseball really only has like an area to itself, I think, in October, and it's really even not to themselves because they still have to share with the NFL, but like weeknights in October, baseball takes center stage. Baseball used to take center stage for 5 or 6 straight months. Yeah. Baseball's been shoehorned out of their season and into these little tiny pockets, and they've allowed themselves to be shoehorned into it. And now you look up and you say, you know what? How come they're not talking Giants on the Giants leader? Well, because it's time to talk about the Warriors, and it's time to talk about the NBA free agency. And in 2 weeks from now, you think people are going to be talking about Yaz and Yermín Mercedes? No, they're going to be talking about Trey Lance and Ray Armstrong, or Ray McLeod, I should say, and Debo and Bosa. And that's just the way it is. Yeah. So baseball is, as a whole, has got to get real. The Giants as a whole have to get creative and look for ways to build their brand and build that allegiance to their brand. Now, one way to build allegiance to the brand is to develop your own homegrown superstars, let your fans know who they are, and then market the hell out of them and re-sign them and pay them. And that's ultimately what the Warriors did with Steph and Draymond and Clay. They drafted and developed their own superstars, and now they're in the process of winning with them and paying them. The Giants are in this rotation of minor league nobodies, and they've won 3 rings, but that was the old regime. Now they've inherited the A's plan, and the A's plan, look what the A's have killed their entire fan base off. And you kind of wonder what the Giant fan base is going to look like 10 years from now if the Giants continue to go down this nameless, faceless, rotation of 4A guys.
No one can see where it's going. That's the problem. It's like, honestly, sometimes it is more entertaining to watch a team that has no chance of winning the World Series. It is a long shot for the playoffs, but at least they have a bunch of young, exciting guys, and it's like it gives you something to root for. And it's like, okay, I know at least, maybe we're 2 years away, maybe we're 3 years away. Even when the Niners, like, yeah, it was incredibly sad, like when Jimmy G got hurt and like we had those really rough years, but it was like, what? It means that we're gonna get draft picks. We're gonna get another quarterback. Like, at least we know where the plan's building towards. We're just like stuck in mediocrity, which is where you never want to be. And you see these teams in the NBA, and they just now you see them. They're just like, okay, what are we gonna do? We have to blow it up, because what you don't want is to be a 9, 8, 7 seed every single year. You never get the picks, and you never attract the free agents, and it's just horrible.
I'll say this. I think that, what is Moneyball? Moneyball was not about any one particular thing. It was, according to Billy, it was about value, right? It was investing in players that other people did not invest in. And so it was about finding value. Well, if I ran the Giants, I think I would start looking for speed. I'd start looking for speed and athletes. I want athletes and I want speed. And I want to corner the market on it. Why? Because, one, people don't pay for speed anymore. So you can find speed and you can acquire speed. You can't acquire power or buy power. It costs an enormous sum. But speed is like kind of not in vogue right now. And there's several fast guys around the big leagues that you could probably get. Heck, we just saw Villar, the other Villar, who's fast for the Cubbies. He just got cut. Corner the market on 3 or 4 guys who can run, and then take the Whitey Herzog approach of, go first to third, go second to home, put out an exciting product, bring speed back to the game. I'd love to see some team, whether it be the Giants or another team, invest in 2022 in speed the way that Herzog did with the Cardinals in the early 80s. I mean, it netted them 3 World Series appearances.
What's exciting about
and it's a fun brand of ball, and it also puts a ton of pressure on the defense.
You could actually say the Marlins are ahead of the Giants because what they're doing, they tore up their team, and Jeter ended up selling all those guys, trading them off, but they got a bunch of great pitching and young guys that are coming up. They're kind of forced to different market. The Giants don't have to do that. They're in a great market, and they can draw fans. The other thing is that the Marlins developed Osuna, Yelich, and the other. There was 3 guys. There were 3 outfielders. Who's the third one I'm missing? Yelich, Osuna, and it'll come to me later. But anyway, the point is they were developing guys. Giants haven't had anybody that they've developed. We did this a month ago when we looked at their last several drafts and their top prospects of 15, of 16, of 7. There was nobody that's even made the club. So they have got to hit on these. As Ned said, you cannot afford to miss on your top 2 draft picks. And they have missed for a decade, it seems like. And they have got to get guys in there that they can develop and either bring them up to the club or use them to trade and attract stars, because the Giants have not had a star position player since Posey. And you could say Pablo was a good player, but he wasn't a superstar like Posey. I look at other teams, young guys that I'm seeing that are going, wow, there's a star in the making. Oh, there's a star in the making. What do the Giants have that's a star that they developed that's on this club right now? Logan Webb.
It's a great question. I mean, position player wise, they're devoid of a star.
Exactly.
And
they're slow, like you said, Larry. Every one of their position guys that they have developed, Brandon Belt, slow as molasses. Do they have anybody else that they've even developed that's on the team? The rest are by trade, I think. Slater's fast. He came up from the farm system, but
I mean, years ago, he's almost 30, isn't he? I mean, the Giants farm system has been a wasteland of failure for a long time, for the most part.
Cros's another slow guy that they've developed.
We're talking about, people talk about, well, they have developed some guys recently, and then you'll say, oh yeah, who? And then like Pablo and Posey. These guys are retired. Yeah. Pablo's, in the Mexican League at this point, bowling guys over. Posey's in Georgia. Georgia taking care of his family. I mean, where's, there are organizations that churn through, prospects every single year. Somebody earlier in here said trade for Guerrero from Toronto. Come on.
Yeah.
They're not moving him.
Better chance at Trout.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah,
you have a better chance at Trout.
You do have a better chance at Trout than Guerrero. Guerrero's like 23.
Also, I gotta say, I get sick of everyone talking about the Moneyball stuff. It's like that. I love the movie. I love the book. It's the most overrated piece of crap.
But that's what Farhan got his training.
I know, but I want to say, like, that is so overrated. When you look at this roster compared to the 2002 A's, like I just looked it up. They had 10 guys hit over 13 home runs, 6 guys hit over 20, 3 hit over 30. Tejada and Chavez were MVP candidates. Hudson, Zito, and Mulder were all number ones. They all had almost 20
They make it
wins.
seem like they were just like, this talentless group. They had
You
this
want to
ridiculous
look at
amount
a
of talent.
talentless group? Look at this freaking roster. We have
Yeah.
no one. Darren Ruff is a key cog on, like, what the hell?
Darren Ruff needs a day off so bad.
that was another one we
So
didn't talk
bad.
about. What the hell are we doing? Casale had 2 great at bats, walked both times. Casale's a better hitter at this point than Darren Ruff.
He's a 23-point higher hitter.
Ugh. Sheesh.
Yeah, no, it's Ruff has had a rough year with tragedy in his life and that kind of thing. So that you feel sorry for him for sure. And it's real life bleeds in, but man, he's not doing it. They're asking him to man a bigger role. Casale's a backup catcher, but he's being asked to. I mean, the Giants almost to a man. This is like the theme of their year. Is Ruff a good player or a bad player? Well, it's the same thing. He's a decent, effective player, but on this team, he's asked to do too much, so he's not very good. Is Casale a good player? Well, he's a good backup catcher, but on this team, he's got to be the starting catcher, and it's not working out that well. Is Wilmer Flores a good player? Yeah, you know what? If you got a left-handed pitcher, you need a bench piece and versatile and first, second, third. And yeah, I like Wilmer Flores, but on this team, he's got to play too much. He looks like he's not that great. Down the line, you could say the same thing about Slater, same thing about Peterson. Same thing about Yaz. Same thing about Wade. It's like, do you like Yaz? Yeah, I like him. Is he an everyday outfielder on a championship caliber team? Well, probably not. He's hitting 244. And he had 220 something last year. Lamont Wade. You like Lamont Wade? Well, I like him as a platoon outfielder who plays 2-3 times a week. But on this team, he's probably going to be asked to play every single day and lead off. So it's just there's like 10 guys on their team that if they had them in better roles, do you like Alex Wood? I like him as a 5th starter, but the only problem is I like DeSclafani as a 5th starter. Oh, but wait a second, Cobb's a 5th starter. So in reality, you've got 2 number 2s or 2 number 1 or 2s in Rodon and Webb, and then 3 5th starters. You don't have a 3rd starter. You don't have a 4th starter. You've got 3 guys that are all giving you 5th starter kind of production. So, do I like the bullpen guys? I like them if you spotted them, but not if you feature them. And they use their pen so consistently and so liberally that, those guys' flaws start to show themselves. So it's like the Giants are made up of a bunch of guys who are good players, but they're all being asked to do too much. Do you like Jacob Junis? I do. But ask me in the playoffs as he gets worked in game 3 of some series, and people are like, well, he's our number 3 starter. Yeah, he's not supposed to be. So it's a tough deal. They're always asking okay players to be good players to be great. And, you'll hear scouts say it all the time. This guy's a 3-day-a-week player, and the Giants will play that guy every day. And that in a nutshell is their issue.
Yeah, and I don't know why some big time
Timmy
Jim says could have signed Gosman, Correa, Story, and Marte. Gosman, you probably wouldn't have been able to sign because he wanted the 5 years, and I wouldn't have signed Gosman to 5 years.
If we were the Dodgers, we would have just signed Rodon and Gosman.
But I would have liked to seen them go after someone like Story, Marte, or Castellanos, or even Mark Canha. Give them a 2-year contract, pay more than what they're asking, because you're only paying for 2 years. You're not blocking your guys.
I still think
up.
that these guys, I think when it comes down to it and it's nut crunching time, they always will defer to the years.
And let's say this, though, before we talk about another stupid conversation about blocking prospects. Tell me the Giant prospect that was awesome that was blocked.
No, that's the if we really
seriously in this century, give me the Giant player who was really, really good, but man, didn't really get a chance because he was blocked.
There hasn't been any in the past.
Has been anybody. Nobody can name a single great star player, pitcher or hitter in the last 15 to 20 years that has ever been blocked at the major league level by any of these signings. So, and yet it's always shocking to me, the number of fans. They say 50 or 60% of America is living paycheck to paycheck right now. And yet there will be people that will line up and openly, give the incredibly wealthy Giant ownership group all kinds of easy ways out by just basically saying, well, they really can't spend, and there'll be people who justify the lack of spending despite how expensive it is to go to the yard. It's expensive entertainment,
it is.
And Danny, you're invested, so you know better than anybody. You cut the check. I mean, it's very, very expensive entertainment. And I think the fans, they have a seat at the table and they have an expectation that, it's expensive entertainment, but we're going to do our very best to put the best team on the field. Well, did they do their very best to put the best team on the field this year? Did they? Because if they did, I'm not seeing it.
No,
I don't see it right now with this roster. It's old. Everybody that is playing. I mean, let's look at the ages. Belt, 34, right? Crawford, 34, 35. Ruff, 34, 35. I don't know. I'm not looking at their ages, so I'm guessing. LaStella, he's got to be up there, right? 33, 34. Who else is in that? Did I already mention Flores?
Flores, Longoria.
Longoria's like 36. I mean, this is an old, broken down, slow roster. And the most exciting
filled with non-prospects and just guys that you signed off the street.
You know what it is? It's a 2001 BMW M series that, it was great back in the day, but, now we just have to keep taking it to the mechanic over and over and over and over again, but we're too cheap to just say, screw it, let's buy a Tesla. Like, come on, gas prices are rising. And you know what else? We can talk as much as we want about signing Castellanos, signing all these big name guys. The sad, sad, sad truth of it all is that what it comes down to is our farm system. And we need our farm system to be producing guys. And right now, it doesn't look like we have anyone that is a can't-miss, exciting guy, up and coming. Our farm system, I'm extremely down and pessimistic on. So until that happens, really, I don't know what we can do.
I think if we got Kyle Haynes on, he would disagree, because I think he would sit and tell you Luciano and Matos.
These are the guys you were just saying were unproven.
Yeah, but no, they're excited about him. But they're a year or two away.
But comparatively to the rest of the Giants prospects and the Giants prospects we've had, I mean, I just don't see where the future's coming from.
Luciano, by all accounts, has superstar material written all over.
What would we say? Would you say you had to bet Luciano, Matos, Kyle Harrison over under over under 4 All-Star game appeareances for them all combined for the career? What would you take?
Combined, I'd take over.
You take over.
Luciano and Harrison will both.
Treat me like I'm from Missouri. Show me.
Yeah,
I need to be shown at this point. Because guess what? I can literally recite chapter and verse. Jerome Williams was going to be a star. Jesse Foppert was going to be a star. Kurt Ainsworth was going to be a star. All these guys, were going to be stars, and none of them made it. So,
But I think Luciano
Gary
might
Brown was going to be a star. J.R. Phillips was going to be a star.
Yeah, but this is according to the Giants.
You name it.
This is according to the Giants.
Lucius Fox.
That's what I'm saying. It's according to the Giants.
He was going to be a star.
Like, what would the Giants wouldn't if it's according? I don't necessarily trust the Giants to be. They should be hyping these.
What
boys
the baseball people nationally, the people that study this stuff, they.
What the hell was the Patrick Bailey pick?
Todd Linden. There you go. GD5. Yeah. Todd Linden.
Do you guys have any explanation
Damon
for the Patrick
Minor.
Bailey pick?
What's
Patrick
that?
Bailey pick was Farhan's first pick.
Yeah.
What's he doing? What the hell? I don't understand it. So he basically was saying Joey Bart's not. I mean, you could say, you can never have enough.
I mean,
catching,
not necessarily, but he just catching depth is a premium.
And Bailey was a switch hitter from North Carolina State. Had a good college career.
But does that seem like the prudent thing to do to burn your most valuable your first round pick on something that your number one prospect is already that's their position? Wouldn't you think that
but you inherited your number one prospect, and we don't know what Farhan thinks about Joey Bart. He might think that Joey Bart is Mike Zunino. And right now, Joey Bart looks like he'd be lucky to be Mike Zunino.
Okay, but now it looks like Andrew Bailey would be lucky to be Mike Zunino. So, now we have two shitty catchers.
Dan Ortmeyer. Awesome. Dan Ortmeyer. We were waiting for Dan Ortmeyer.
Yeah. Andrew Bailey, the pitching coach.
Derek Rodriguez was going to be our star.
Oh, God. But seriously, though, to me...
Johnny Rabb. There you go.
To me, if you're going to say, I don't... this guy who's considered to be the Giants' number one prospect, who was taken number 2 overall, I get it. It wasn't your regime. But if you are that convinced that this Andrew Bailey guy is going to be your starter, he's going to be better than him, he must be a phenom in order to burn another first-round pick on that.
You mean Patrick Bailey?
Patrick Bailey.
I mean, the jury's still out on Patrick Bailey. I'm
just saying,
to me, it looks like he's got a pretty good stroke. I think he's a switch hitting catcher.
Pretty good stroke for what? I just don't take a pitcher. I don't care. Take a pitcher. Take something more premium. Take an outfielder. Take something we need.
Yeah, it's
what the hell?
But they also got Will Wilson out of that draft in the trade.
Yeah.
That was the other one that Hunter Bishop came out of, I think. I think Bishop got picked at
Salomon Torres. They didn't want to trade Salomon Torres for Dennis Martinez in 1993, costing the division.
Okay. Also, Joey Bart was. I mean, we can all say, I know in the majors he's not showing anything. He still was mashing in the minors. Compared to the rest of the Giants, he was mashing.
Not really
in them.
Mashing. He
was
he only hit like
294 with a crap ton of bombs as a catcher compared to the rest of our prospects.
I don't think it was a lot, was it?
I don't think it was a ton of home runs. I think it was in the low teens or something like that.
MS.
Steve Hosey was supposed to be awesome.
Oh, yeah, Steve Hosey, the center fielder or something. Wouldn't he play? Steve Hosey. Yeah, we got hosed on that one.
The Giants have had so many of these guys. Will Wilson is batting .215 according to MF.
I mean, if you look at baseball,
so it's just one of those things. It's like I think
you're onto something with speed, though, Larry. Because
go with speed.
Guys are hitting 215, 220 at least. I mean, you look at that guy. Put
some pressure on your opponent. Start putting people in action. I want to see some athletes.
The Nimmo guy. He pounds the ball into the ground and beats it out all the time. I watched. How many times did he hit an infield hit against the Giants? Brandon Nimmo, I think it is. Yeah.
I mean, it would be so easy to gather some guys with speed. They don't, find some guys at AAA. I suggested that guy, Jake McCarthy, the other day. They had his brother for a while. But, Jake McCarthy's not necessarily lighting it up for Arizona. See if you can trade for a couple of guys in AAA who can flat out run. And then let's see what it looks like. Put 3 or 4 of them in a lineup together. Let's see what it looks like. I mean, right now, at station to station, subpar D, not a lot of athleticism, no big-time power hitters, sitting down your best hitter in the 5th inning. I mean, Kapler needs to pretend, because it is indeed the fact at this point, that Jock Peterson's Barry Bonds. Pretend he's Barry Bonds, because he's your Barry Bonds. You don't have anybody else that is going to hit 35 home runs in this team except for him. So start treating him like that. People want to see him. Don't take him out of the lineup in the fifth because you want to get an advantageous at bat against a middle reliever. Let him get his 4 ABs.
Well, I want to know what the plan is with. I'd love to be able to see what Farhan's contract is. Is it just an annual salary, or does he get a percentage of the profits? Because he is a GM that acts like he gets a percentage of the profit, because it's like, or is ownership saying you can't go over this line, because something is happening, because either ownership is saying this is your top of the line you can go to and don't go over it, or you're getting a percentage of the profits that the club's making, because
why are you spending so far beneath what this club has spent in the past?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What is ownership doing? Because if he's getting a percentage of the profits,
they're putting the money in their pockets and they're hoping nobody notices.
Yeah, because
that's what's going on right now.
Yeah.
They're literally taking a team that had a payroll that was $50 million more. They've slashed that thing, put that money in their pockets, and we're supposed to say that, people bash John Fisher all the time for not reinvesting in the A's, and justifiably so. But what are the Giants doing to spend some of that money that they've made? The Giants are one of the richest teams in all of baseball. They're incredibly. They are one of the haves. Don't let anybody confuse you otherwise.
Oh, yeah,
they are one of the haves.
7.
They're one of the richest, most financially secure teams in the entire sport.
Yeah, you got the Yankees and the Dodgers.
And there's the buck stops with nobody. Everybody shifts the blame. If you ask management, they'll simply say Farhan has enough money he's got enough money to spend it as he sees fit. And if you ask Farhan, he'll say, I have enough money to build a contender. But then he still spends $50 million less than they've spent in the past.
This is why I'm saying
nobody answers for it. Nobody says, you know what, this is my idea. Nobody's taking ownership of what they're spending in their plan.
This is what I don't understand, Larry, because if the prospects are a year or two away, go pay $10 million more, $20 million. Just give them the money for 1 or 2 years. You could have had, I bet, Nick Castellanos, instead of him signing a 5-year, $100 million, I bet he would have taken 2 years and $55 million or something. Yeah, you're overpaying, but you're 2 years and he's off your books. A lot of guys did that, have taken that lower contract for higher years. Bryce Harper took more years at a lower number, of the opposite, but other guys have taken the higher. And I just don't understand why you couldn't go out and overpay for a couple guys that would get you for sure in the playoffs and maybe even a division winner.
Free agent. If it was free agency, I understand it. I don't want to trade prospects. But
no, I'm talking free agents.
Okay,
because Castellanos was a free agent. Mark Hanna, he's a serviceable player. What the problem was this year is you lost Posey and you lost Chris Bryant. You knew you had a weakness on the right-handed side, and they did nothing. They wrung it back with.
No, they didn't do nothing. They kicked tires on Seiya Suzuki and Trevor Story and then did nothing.
Right. But
so they gave their fans an indication that they have the money and they knew they had this weakness. And then so they created an expectation that they were going to spend that money and then just didn't.
Right.
And now don't want anybody to notice it.
And then to double back on that, they make deals like getting Papirski, Pablo, Mike Ford, Spencer, not Dinwiddie, Fairchild, or Stewart.
I should have got Dinwiddie. I'd rather watch Dinwiddie.
Stuart Fairchild. He reminds me of the
Stuart Fairchild.
The mouse, the little book, the about the mouse in New York or something. That's Stewart, named Stewart.
Stuart Little. Stuart
Little, yeah.
Do not rip Stuart Little. That was one of the finest books I've ever read.
Yeah, it was a good book. It was one of my favorite books in grade school. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, Stuart Little? Are you kidding me?
Yeah. In fact, I used to pretend
That mouse was a flat pimp.
Yeah. That was a badass mouse. You're right.
That was a badass mouse.
Guys, can I read?
We're reminiscing about Stuart Little, and you're gonna jump off of that gold, that television gold
even
right
know
there.
Who Stuart Little is.
I know exactly
who
who Stuart Little is. I watched the movies.
He saw
Okay,
it.
can I
He knows Stewie.
I know Stewie. Back to the Andrew Bailey thing. Okay, I looked up. This is the
Stuart
ESPN,
Little back to Bailey.
This is the ESPN analysis. This is the ESPN analysis of the pick at the time. San Francisco Giants to 13. Who is Bailey? Bailey is a switch-hitting backstop who earns plus grades for his throwing arm and work behind the plate. He's also the rare college catcher who calls his own games, a big positive for pro scouts. He has hit 302. That's not that great. 302 with 29 home runs in 131 games and has displayed a good eye with a 14% walk rate, including 23% 20-20. There might not be a huge upside here, but as a quality defensive catcher who might hit for a little pop and produce a decent OBP, he's a well-rounded prospect in a sport currently devoid of top catchers at the major league level. Why the Giants took him here? There are two ways to look at this. The first is, why would the Giants take a catcher number 13 overall when their top prospect, number 7 overall on Kylie McDaniel's top 100, is a catcher in Joey Bart? The other is, wow, the Giants must really like Bailey to take him number 13 overall when their top prospect is a catcher. One possibility is that the universal DH likely coming to the NL, rotating catchers will be a good strategy, a good way to use the spot while resting your starting catcher more. No matter the strategy, Bailey is a true catching prospect with legitimate pop in his bat. He built to 29 home runs in 131 career games at NC State. There are some questions of how his hit tool will play at higher levels, though, and his 288 average in 2019 and 296 start this year are on the low side for highly ranked college player. So all of that just tells me that's underwhelming. Guy hit 300 in college, and they're like what they're pretty confused. Now we look at his stats. He's in a high A ball right now, hitting 207 with 7 home runs. Like, just what the hell? It looks like we decided to just burn the pick card. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, I mean, then that's in the minors. Those are minor league stats. Yeah, very discouraging. You're talking about a guy who played a full career at NC State and can't get out of A ball.
And he couldn't even crack above 300 in freaking college. And he said he basically they said he would be a good platoon player. And we drafted a platoon player in the first round, platoon catcher. Awesome.
Do me a favor while you're got that. Look up. He's with the. Where'd it go? I got it. I just had it.
Who do you want us to look up?
The Garrett Mitchell of the Brewers.
Oh, I love Garrett Mitchell from UCLA.
Yeah,
outfielder.
What do you want me to look up?
What's he
His
doing?
stats?
Yeah, because Bailey was drafted 13th.
That was the guy that I wanted them to get. Was Garrett Mitchell? He went to Milwaukee.
He was drafted 20th in that draft, and the Dodgers picked up at the end of the first round Bobby Miller, a right-handed pitcher who's they're very high on, and believe he's just about ready to go, and he's been talked about in some big trades as a big trade piece, but.
Well, so Bob, I mean, he hit 359 in high A ball as opposed to the 209. But in this year, he's in Double A hitting 224. So it's not like it's anything that crazy.
Yeah,
but he hit
I like him though.
Yeah.
It's
what the hell?
To your point, though,
they
catching
GD5, Ryan's new segment. What the hell?
I feel like we all gave him a pass for that because we're like, oh, he's smart. Oh, well, it's his. Honestly, it's not.
People
that
are giving Farhan a major free pass because he's glib and they won 107 games last year.
It's not that undifferent or dissimilar to freaking the Timberwolves just going back-to-back point guards with Rubio and Johnny Flynn. Like, what? What the hell? At the very least, yeah.
Justin Foscue, Foscue. I don't know much about him. Texas drafted him 1 pick after Bailey, a second baseman.
Foscue.
Fosky.
Oh, sorry. Too easy. Too easy.
Foskew.
Foskew.
I'm sure he's heard that all his life. Foskew.
Foskew. And the blankety blank you wrote in on. Yeah. Foskew.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean,
this guy says, Pete Zimmer says, love what Farhan has done, but he's not perfect. I think that's probably pretty fair.
You know, I mean,
his errors are not of commission; they're of omission, and that's what makes people a little bit. When you have errors of commission, people see the mistake. When you just haven't done anything, nobody really sees it. It's just like we don't. It's not like he's made bad trades. He's made good moves. He just hasn't made enough good impact moves.
But
and I'm not seeing the good impact drafts either. Yeah, I mean, we can be hopeful. But there's a big difference. We have to see actual guys get drafted, developed, and graduate to the major leagues. Until that happens, he's no different than Bobby Evans. Yeah. He's Bobby Evans right now until he produces players that play. I mean, we can like Farhan. I like Farhan. He's a very pleasant guy. Yeah, I believe he's intelligent. I think he knows a lot of baseball. I like a number of the moves he's made. But where's the impact move? Where's the impact signing? Where's the impact trade? Where's the impact draft? I'm not seeing it. And unfortunately, we're 4 years in, and it's time to see it. It's time to start seeing these guys.
Will Bednar is not doing anything. It's early, but he's not.
Vaughn Brown is doing well. They drafted him last year.
But you can't admit, you have to at least hit 50% on your first round picks, man.
Mark Graves has a good point here. He said drafted Harrison and Dabovich in this draft. Now, I do know when they did this draft, when you do an MLB draft, there's slots. You pay either over slot or under slot. And they were able to draft. Part of the reason they drafted Bailey is because they knew they could sign him under slot value and save that money. And they got Harrison in the third or fourth round and paid him.
And they bought him out of his UCLA commitment.
Yes. And
no, I understand that, but you still need. I agree. I mean, there's different ways to spend your money, your allotment of money, and that was what they did. But we got to see the results. It's and
Harrison has stardom written all over him though if he doesn't get hurt. Because
let's see it. Let's see it then. Let's see it.
They're moving him.
I'm just saying. I'll say that Farhan is awesome when I see that, not before.
Also, I'm sorry,
Harrison next year in the rotation.
Okay. Also, though, I'm sorry though. I mean, they drafted. If they knew Harrison was going to be that great, I mean, he was their 5th draft pick that year.
They drafted him later because he was committed to UCLA, and if he was drafted in the first round, you would have had to.
Well, then why didn't they take him in the second round?
Because they were able to get him and pay him. They have so much slot for each pick. There's a certain money that you pay a guy. And so they drafted guys that they could sign on the cheap in the first couple of rounds so that they could get Harrison because they had so much money to pay him more over the bat.
Is there a limit to how much you can pay your draft picks? Is that what it is?
Yeah, there's a limit, yeah.
There's a total. It's not per pick. It's not like the NFL where it's
per draft.
It's the whole draft. And so what they did is they took their gamble that Harrison would be there and that they would be able to get him and sign him based on not only the dollar amount, but being from local, De La Salle. And so that
it's all well and good, but we got to see it. And so far, nobody's graduated to the big leagues and nobody's established themselves. And as far as the minor deals, I mean, I'll say this for Farhan. Look what he signed this year. He signed Peterson, maybe an all-star. Signed Rodon, maybe an all-star. So it's not like he's just he has no idea. He picked up Gonzalez, who's got him for nothing. He's maybe the best player on the team. So it's not like Farhan's just like, some guy with no clue. But we need to see beyond last year's 107 wins. It's a business. And if I own the team, I want to see somebody that the fans can sink their teeth into, buy a jersey of, invest in, and pay for a 13 or 14 game package next year because that guy's on the team. And right now, we don't see it. Now, doesn't mean it's not coming. Doesn't mean that player is. Maybe it's Harrison. Maybe it's Dabovich. Maybe it's Casey Schmidt. Maybe it's Vaughn Brown. I don't know. But literally, we got to see that guy in the next year or so.
Pitchers move faster usually. Top pitchers can get to the major leagues at 20. We saw it with Mad Bum. We saw it with Dwight Gooden. We saw it with Fernando Valenzuela. You see that
there's some
star
pretty big names there, Dan.
Yeah, but those can make it. This is where Harrison is projected. He is projected on the path. If you look at his stats, he struck out 51 batters in 31 innings at Double-A. So he's moved up and he has pitched phenomenally. I mean, he's striking out close to 2 guys an inning. So this is a guy that stuff translates at each level. So let him learn his command, let him learn his pitches, and develop maybe another pitch that he's working on. You do all that in Double-A, Triple-A, and then you bring him up. This is a guy that was a top player in high school, and probably had he not committed to UCLA and said he was going to go pro, probably would have been picked in the top 10 in the first round.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, top 10, top 15. This is a guy that this is one of their best finds. And, I said the other day, possibly about trading him because other people want him to get a
He
top
does have
pitcher.
a 4.0. He does have a 4.02 in Double-A right now in 6 starts.
Yeah, but
Peter Zimmer says, I'd be more than willing to pay for Giants tickets if they had a proven star up in the majors. There are no stars on this team. None of the guys other than Webb, Rodon, or Jock get me excited. So there's a fan giving you his honest opinion. We've kicked this thing around. I'm going to go watch my kid try to make the Giants. He's playing JV ball. He's got enough work on his hands trying to handle these JV kids.
Ben Zobrist Krueger, right?
Yeah, exactly. But first, let's get a word from our sponsors.
Larry Krueger here for Telmetrics. Thanks to Casey Bateman and the good people at Telmetrics. If you're an occupational therapist, if you're an orthopedic surgeon, a chiropractor, a physical therapist of any kind, Telmetrics is designed for you to use in your practice and will greatly benefit your patients. Telmetrics uses computer vision and artificial intelligence and provides a platform for outpatient rehab therapy services, both in the clinical and the telehealth environments. So using Telmetrics can improve your patient's experience and much more. So for all your sports injury needs, or if you're a physical rehabilitation specialist of any kind, make sure you use telmetrics.co, Telmetrix.co. And thanks to Casey Bateman and all the good people at Telmetrics for being a proud sponsor of the Krueg. I'd like to thank our sponsor, Dan Coccimilgio. Dan is a buddy, and he is a phenomenal retirement planning specialist. And you can contact him today at securemoney.com or at his number 925-628-9966. There's a lot of uncertainty in our world right now, and you want to make sure that your money is secure. That is the key. Danny's got 25 years of experience, born and raised right here in the Bay Area, and he can help you get an immediate 10% premium bonus on your principal retirement account. So give him a call, 925-628-9966. He'll make an appointment with you, and you can sit down. It's not a one-size-fits-all kind of a deal. He'll consult with you and come up with a strategy to get you going to where you want to be. Once again, 925-628-9966, securemoney.com on the web. And thanks to Dan Coccimilgio and all the people at Secure Money for being proud sponsors of the Krueg Show. And thanks to Tony Cassera and the good people at Cassera's Italian Menswear. They are housing the Krueg Show t-shirts, and they're a proud sponsor of the show as well. The Krueg Show t-shirt, the Krueg Show podcast t-shirt is available there at their store in Dublin. Their address is 7372 San Ramon Road in Dublin, California. And go see Tony Cassera and get yourself a Krueg Show t-shirt and support the show. And special thanks to our sponsor, New York Style Italian Sausage. That's right, NewYorkStyleSausage.com is their website. Phenomenal product, whether it's the breakfast sausage, the Italian mild, the Italian spicy, the chorizo. You cannot go wrong with New York Style Italian Sausage. Once again, NewYorkStyleSausage.com, often imitated, never equaled. And they are a proud sponsor of the Krueg Show. Thanks to them as well.
We grew up with a Sunday dinner. That means no matter how busy you were, no matter where the hell you were, you came to dinner on a Sunday night. Yeah, Sunday dinner without sausage, it's like a church without God. You know, how can you go to church if you don't believe in God? You know, and along with the sausage also became the discussions. That was discussion night. You know, it wasn't a typical family that you sit there and you're quiet, you know, and you don't talk with a mouthful. Oh no, man. Italians talk when they're eating. Italians even talk when they're sleeping. And definitely we talk with our hands. So if we can't express it through our mouth, through our lips, we express it with our hands. So, and that's what sausage is, really. It's an expression, you know, that life is good.
All right, welcome back to the Krueg Show. Larry Krueger, Dan Coccimilgio, Ryan Smith with you after Giants baseball. If you just tuned in, Tigers get the win this afternoon over the Giants. So the Giants and Tigers went up splitting the two games. 3-2 was the final today. Giants, who were off Monday, are off again tomorrow, and they'll be back on Friday. And we'll be back. We'll be back doing some stuff tomorrow as well. I believe Kyle Posey's going to stop by. I think we're going to try to hook up with Pecan and Ryan Covey tomorrow night on a live stream. That should be a lot of fun. And then Friday night, Ned Coletti joins us after Giants Chai Sox, and then we'll get everybody going for their holiday weekend. Just one more perusal of the chat. A couple thoughts here. Somebody asked here, MF, I love the New York Style Sausage Company. MF says thoughts on Darren Chan. I don't know what that's in reference to. All I know is Darren Chan, who I call DC, is one of the best in the business. He is awesome. What can I say? He's my friend, and he's as good an engineer as you can find. Then MF has thoughts on Kevin Krueger. Yeah, that's my oldest son, and he's a great kid. And he's doing great stuff.
MF, man, he's
Do you guys have thoughts on the Second Punic War?
MF says, I'd love to hear Pecan. You will hear Pecan. Pecan will be with us hopefully tomorrow night.
I've actually got some. I'm pretty sure that was the one where Hannibal crossed the Alps with all the fighting elephants and stuff. It was pretty cool stuff.
Oh man!
Someone says Romo 2001. Who's pitching for the Sox in the upcoming series? Do you have that, Danny, in front of you?
Yeah, I can pull it up real quick.
Oh,
here.
you know what else?
Good Cueto, we missed Cueto by one game. He pitched last night. They're off tomorrow. Otherwise, Cueto would have pitched Sunday. Dang it! I wanted to see that.
This one makes me laugh. Hold on a second, right? Bomb Dod Kamali. Yes, they kick tires. I kick tires on a 2-acre property in Tiburon, but I sell them for a 1-bedroom condo in San Mateo. That is awesome.
Okay,
Bomb Dod, you rock, brother.
Yeah,
yes. I've got a voicemail.
What's that?
I've got a voicemail.
You got a voicemail?
I forgot to play it. Yeah, it's on the Soto trade.
From Bomb Dod?
No, from someone,
okay.
Some random person. I haven't. Yeah.
Can we play it?
Yeah.
Let's hear it. We're now waiting for a voicemail. Lots of drama.
You're muted, right?
No, I didn't mute him.
Or he was moving his mouth like he was talking, but it's not. I don't hear him.
I don't think I muted him. No.
No, he may have done something. It may be something to do. He's playing it, and it's not coming across. Maybe it's going through his headset.
Or are you guys not hearing it?
No, we didn't hear it.
No, might be going through your
what the heck?
headset.
Oh, it's just been going through. I've just been listening.
We've just been
to it.
hanging here in limbo, staring at
Yeah.
each other.
Oh, what the heck?
Watching
Wait,
you go.
does
Oh,
the-
you're laughing.
Yeah,
Does
you're
the-
laughing. You're telling jokes to yourself over there, and we're sitting here bored as
While
hell.
you're coming up with that, Lance Lynn against
Yes.
Alex Cobb Friday night. Saturday, Dylan Cease
Cease.
against Logan Webb. And Sunday, we've got
What?
Giolito.
Giolito, Lucas Giolito.
Yeah,
Against
he's
who?
good. Yeah, he's Disco. See if he can.
Get the pen warm.
Yeah, I think he's going to turn it around. He's not that awful. I think he's pretty ticked off.
That's a great way to put it. He's not that awful.
Well, he said his
That's a
own words
ringing,
were.
that's a ringing
He
endorsement.
gave a two-word. He gave a two-word answer the other night when they asked, "What can you do to turn this around?" He goes, "Not suck."
I like that. It's concise.
It
Rye, should we
shows
do the
that-
voicemail next time, or what do you think?
Yeah. So you can't hear this.
No,
You're not hearing anything. You're just
No.
hearing me.
Yeah.
no voicemail. Are you hearing anything, Danny?
Dang it.
Nothing.
Voices?
Weird. Oh, well.
Give us,
All right, guys.
give us a taste. What was
Yeah.
it about?
What was it? Yeah. Give us a little taste of it. What do we?
So essentially, he said a little deep dive on the Soto thing is that the Nationals are actually up for sale, and that is probably affecting part of the Soto deal, and could affect some of the posturing around. Oh, we're not going to get rid of Soto.
they might get a lower asking price if they remove Soto. That's probably the reality.
Yeah. So.
So forget Soto. He's not going to get traded.
Yeah. So he basically saying that that's just another factor to consider. We're trying to read the transcript, but Google clearly botches a lot of it, so I'm kind of struggling. But
You guys got a
Dang
final thought before we call it an afternoon, Danny?
Yeah, final thought. I know we've kind of said a lot of things that are more reality today about the position where the Giants stand right now. But as a season ticket holder, as a lifelong fan, as a team that is loaded financially, it's very frustrating to watch this team right now. And I hope they do something to shake this up rather than just leave things status quo, because status quo is not cutting it when you're losing 4 of 6 to Cincinnati. You split with Detroit. You lose 2 out of 3 at home to the Washington Nationals earlier in the year. This is a team that the only consistency is that they're so inconsistent. It's really getting on my nerves at this point, because this is a team that is 6 games over 500. And if they had just won 5 more games that we talked about being 24-17 against teams sub 500, make that 29-12, and all of a sudden you're right in the thick of the division race. And so what they're starting to show me is that they got off to a pretty quick start, but over the last 50, 60 plus games, which is a pretty good sample size, they're about a 500 team, and that's not going to cut it. That's just not going to cut it coming off a 107 win season. And they need to do something radical as far as I'm concerned. And that radical does it have to be a major trade? It might mean just DFAing somebody that is not going to be on this team in a year or two, like a Tommy LaStella or an Evan Longoria, and bringing up a David VR or something that gives a little life to this club. And yeah, Longoria.
I can see the headline right now. Dan Coccimilgio says Giants must be radicalized. Right?
Kapler leading radicalized Giants.
Yes.
And do something to get a little mojo. I liked the Mercedes, the excitement seeing him get fired up, and they've already sent him down. Instead, what we get is Gabe walking out to the manager or to the umpire. Was that fair or foul? Okay. Fair.
How about start your look at those guns. Look at those guns. How about start your closer and close your starter?
What's that?
I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
Hey, and another exciting thing that the Giants do have on target side, he may make you a little nervous, but I do enjoy watching Camino Doval pitch. He's got some electric stuff, and he gets you nervous. But, man, when he throws that 101-mile fastball that barely looks like he's winding up to throw it, and then he cuts one of those sliders that breaks a foot outside, like the last out of the game last night when he swung, the thing was 2 feet off the plate. He totally fooled, or that wasn't the last out. It was the second out, I think. But anyway, I like the ball, and I guess I'm just at a point where I want to see some more excitement. This team is boring. It literally bores the heck out of me watching them score 1 run or 2 runs or even 4 runs. You know, this is a team that needs to win based on what you said, Larry, the other day. The stats, they got to score 5 or more runs, because every time they score 4 runs or less, the record is abysmal. And
we're muting Danny right there. Rye, go ahead. Danny's had his say.
I don't really have much to say.
That's it. I'll say this. I think Matthew Mears says it best in the chat. The 107-win season was smoke and mirrors. It is appearing that may be accurate. And if you go to if I go to my Bleacher Report app right now, guys, it says Rob Manfred says the automated balls and strikes will likely debut in the majors in 2024.
Nice.
So if you're one of those guys, you're loving that idea, then you're loving it. If you don't love the robot umps, then guess what? Baseball's getting worse.
Waterboarding the home plate umpires.
All right, that does it for us. Can I get a monster slam? I mean, I need a monster slam.
I need a winning streak. Give me 2-game winning streak. Jeez.
I'm not getting the monster slam. We're not getting the
monster slam. Didn't
no.
go through.
Something on your board's muted.
Oh, what? We're not getting the monster slam?
Wait, shenanigans must be afoot.
I have to do a live version. Dang.
What the heck, man?
Danny,
do a live version.
Okay, here we go. Danny, this is a recreation, ladies and gentlemen. This is not the actual deal itself. Okay, so this is a man who's recreating it.
We got a reenactment?
Reenactment. Okay. Here we go. Danny, fire away.
He gets the ball. He dribbles up over the half-court line. He's going to drive into the lane, kicks it out over to the right wing to Wiggins. Wiggins drives into the lane, goes up for a monster slam!
Yeah, never met a man I've been scared of. Careful, you gon' get exactly what you asked for. Here for whatever you bring me, getting handled. I answer to no one, I don't need to hassle. Yeah, we ain't never fall back. Hold our ground.